Last night was the State of the Union, and it was an important one. Joe Biden is trailing in the polls. He needs to reassure people that he has the energy and vigor to remain president for 4 more years. And while I think we can all agree, been quite critical of Joe Biden in a lot of contexts where I thought it was fair to be so, I think it was a pretty good State of the Union. And I wanna show you just a couple of quick clips, mostly of Joe Biden having fun with the GOP, needling them in fun little ways. So here's an example of that.
We have 2 ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealth. That's good to hear.
So look, when people talk about him being like Grandpa Joe or whatever, sometimes there's bad aspects of that, but that was kind of funny. Oh no, I thought that's what your plan was. It felt like something I might have said in a speech like that. And look, to the extent that consistency matters at all, he's now got them kind of via accolation on the record is saying they're not gonna do that. And of course, they're definitely gonna try to do that.
Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait, click join now on YouTube.
So we had that. We had, I think, an even better needling in this clip.
46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you who strongly voted against it are there cheering on that money coming in. I like it. I'm with you. If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know.
Come on, that's pretty funny. And what I like about it is it's not just like cheap humor. He's right on these. They do vote against it and then take the money, you know? They do want to pass more tax cuts. So I like that. And then there's one more just, I think like for an old man, I think a pretty charming little moment. It's self-deprecating. I appreciate that. Here's one final clip.
Let me close with this. I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while. When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever.
So again, I'm not like the biggest Joe Biden fan in the world or whatever, although I have no doubt that because I'm putting out a clip that's positive towards him, I'll be called a shill by some people. But you cannot come out of that and not think like Trump has charisma for right wingers, okay? But that was just being self-deprecating and a little bit fun, a little bit quick on your feet. I liked it. I want to see more of that Joe Biden was. What do you think? Am I being too kind to the president?
No, not at all. I think it speaks to how bad he's kind of looked over the past year and past few months, that that he could deliver a performance like this of that Joe Biden that people kind of know and love, that made him the nominee in 2020 and ultimately won him the presidency. It's that sort of every man, aw shucks, can do, that real American quality that he has to him, and I think he finally put that in display, and it's important. And to me, this is the thing. When people are complaining about Joe Biden running again, I don't think anybody thinks on the substance of what a Democratic president is going to do or not do, that Joe Biden would be radically different from some replacement candidate. I don't think anybody's making that claim. I don't think you can make that claim credibly, quite honest, the way the machinery of the Democratic Party operates. I think the argument that people are making is that, can this guy go out and effectively make the case for himself? He has to make the case. It can't be his subordinates, anonymously and Politico and Axios and all of this crap. Joe Biden has to go out and make the case to the American people himself. And that's what people were questioning. He seemed to be a diminished version of himself and was not up to that all important task. Like, he has to go out and meet the people. And last night, thank God, the guy looked like a person with a freaking pulse. So yes, we should applaud that, because that's what we want. And that's what he's going to need to ultimately succeed.
Yeah, exactly. And look, like as you just were, we can be fair and nuanced about it. I watched it live. I was sitting there with my wife. I was very worried at the beginning that he was going to stumble and bumble. And there was one moment, which I'm going to talk about later on the show, where he had a moment. But largely, the only slip ups were, I think, very understandable slip ups. I slip up sometimes on the show, and I'm only like 52 or something. So I think that was fair. He looked old mostly, but he was high energy. He had fun. They're going to try to pitch him as just being angry, but I don't think that was the overwhelming emotion. I think he was like happy with the performance of the economy. He was willing to like have a little bit of fun, even at his own expense. So I liked that. And look, he seems to like it too, because apparently on a hot mic, some Dem told him nobody's going to talk about cognitive impairment now. So they're feeling good about that. Joe Scarborough said it was a tour de force. He had Frazier's left hook. Now look, it's not that difficult necessarily for him to impress Joe Scarborough. But even Lawrence Jones on Fox and Friends says the Republicans better get it together because Biden did what he needed to do during the State of the Union. And in terms of like, we'll have to wait and see if this affects the polls in general. But on a poll that CNN had done about whether Biden's policies, do you think Biden's policies are going to move the country in the right direction? Before the speech, 45% said yes, bearing in mind that the sample was slightly more Democratic than usual. So don't take that as like an absolute number, but 45 said yes. After it, 62% said yes. So it appeared to reassure a good chunk of people. And look, some of them are gonna try to like explain it away as he did a bad job. Maybe he could have done a better job, but I think he did a good job. I think he did what he needed to do. I think it will reassure some people. I would keep it up, with some more campaign speeches that have this energy, but I was happy with it. So Waz, any other general comments about his speech before we move on?
Look, I think what people have been complaining about, again, just to draw back on previous presidents, just think about Barack Obama, who admittedly, like as an orator and his prose were so beautiful. He was like the Black Abe Lincoln in that sense. Obviously, he doesn't have many peers, but the bottom line is when he was president, he would go out and use the bully pulpit to propagandize the people towards his cause. He would tout his accomplishments, even whether you agreed or not on whether they were accomplishments or not. He would go out, he would give a State of the Union, he'd give all these big interviews. He would go out and stump for himself. That's what he did, and it worked. He smoked Mitt Romney in his re-election campaign. It worked. He got people to understand that, look, it's going fine. We got a steady hand. Here are my wins. Let's keep this thing rolling. Ultimately, people don't want turnover. People don't want change. People want stability. And he was able to make that case, okay? And Joe Biden, who, again, I know a lot has been made. The guy literally has been avoiding media. The guy didn't want to do a Super Bowl interview. The guy has not been using his platform as leader of the free world to make a case for why people should go out and brave the November cold to vote for his ass again, okay? Last night was a step in that direction and we need to see more of it.
I agree. I think that was fair. It was nuanced. And as a result of that, probably everyone will be mad at us. In any event, that's what we think about the speech. We're gonna see over the next week if it helps juice his numbers. He could certainly use it. You expect a bit of a bounce. We'll see if he gets it.